I think for me, I'm talking about whether or not it's worth it or who created BSV. There was a lot of subterfuge that went into it, but I think first of all, Bitcoin is worth it. It's worth fighting for, and we've seen a lot of people step up and fight for it in a way that really matters. And I recall the only time I've ever seen Craig Wright wear jeans, and it was a video from 2017 where he was giving a speech and explaining why nodes matter and what a node is and why it's important to have hash power select these things. And I look back and I'm honored to fight for these things with you gentlemen, and to see some of the arguments that we get into with people about why fundamentals matter, and because from those fundamentals business can spring forth and people can trust a fixed protocol. And for me, that's always going to be worth it. And I will always fight for Bitcoin, and hopefully we don't have to see another one of these again. But Bernard, I'd like to cut to you for a final word, and then Connor, I'd like a final word from you, and John, we can close, and then we'll wrap up this whole thing.
Sure. Thanks, Kurt, for hosting us today. Yeah, I mean, was it worth it? You know, I'm now an entrepreneur in this space. We're trying to build technology which is totally accessible to non-Bitcoiners, totally accessible to like my mom and your brother and everyone else. And, you know, just from a personal experience, that's totally worth it, become an entrepreneur. But also, I really think we have a chance with Bitcoin SV to build all this utility and build it in a way where it's also accessible. I mean, first it's accessible to developers, but then way beyond that, and really build products for users and products for merchants and products for, you know, all sorts of other economic participants, which just work. And yes, everyone can do the deep dive and go down the rabbit hole just as deep as we have in the past, I don't know how many combined years of Bitcoin experience we have here on the table today. But it shouldn't, you know, be only for people like that. And that's really, really important to me. And so I think it's well worth it. And I know we have the stability. Once we build something, once the infrastructure is working, we'll keep leveraging it over and over. We'll keep building on top without needing to worry all the time about, and the dev team has now announced in 2 weeks, we all need to change this or that, or, you know, now the internet is not fast enough for cat images, so we need cat image net and take stuff elsewhere. We won't have to take stuff elsewhere. It's purely economic whether I take stuff elsewhere or not. And that's what I like. And yeah, it's well worth it.
Connor.
I'll echo Bernard. You know, it's absolutely worth it. And I'm kind of on a similar path. I'm doing things and having opportunities I never thought would be afforded to me. And a lot of it is just because of my journey through Bitcoin. It's crazy to me that, you know, Bernard, for example, I met him. He was probably one of the first people I met who had a different name in person than I had met online. And it was something really cool and interesting, right? But as far as this hash war and the idea of Bitcoin, you know, having a stable protocol and a white paper is like having a constitution. So it's when there are disagreements, when there are spits and spats and all that kind of stuff, we all have this common understanding of what exists. And then that allows an ecosystem in a country to flourish on top of that, right? So the best part about Bitcoin SV is that it has this constitution that we all abide by and we all agree with. And then it allows an unbounded, you know, ecosystem to emerge from that. And I think I hate that we had this big block Bitcoin and then it split again. That was like one of the most demoralizing things, I think, for a lot of people. But I remember very vividly being in London the day that was announced, and it just happened to be the same day as the conference that was going on. And all of the people that were there were all having drinks together saying, this is actually good. We all agree on something finally, and we can just build businesses on top of Bitcoin. And that's what's been happening. So it was a little demoralizing and it hurt when it happened, but I think we're in a really good spot. And like Bernard said, the ability to produce real solutions for very real problems that are prevalent across the internet today is something I'm really excited about.
Yeah, beautiful. And John, please.
I can honestly say I haven't been this interested in Bitcoin since I first discovered Bitcoin back in like 2011 or 2012. It was fascinating to me for a couple of years, and then it got so boring. It got so mundane. Nothing was happening. It was just it was stagnant, and yet we had to cover it every day in the news. And then now we have BSV. It's what Bitcoin should have been all along.